I grew up in Santa Ana, but my parents got married very young. They were teenagers when they got married, and they had me very young. And my earliest memories with them were them arguing about finances or how they could provide for us. So to me, money was more of like something to be feared, something that caused stress. So eventually they got divorced, and we were living with relatives, bouncing around from place to place, living like on the floors of our friends' houses. Just because of their relationship with money seemed really scary for me. I felt like they felt they never had enough, and therefore I felt like there's no way that I would have enough money growing up. It just felt like, I don't know, there was so much scarcity.
Yeah, my parents, kind of the same story. They got married young. My mom was 18, my dad was 20, had my sister 22 and 20. They lived in an apartment, slept on a twin mattress together. And then my mom had a friend who suggested that she save her money and buy a house. They saved enough money for a down payment on a house in 1 year. They were working overtime, they never went out. They bought the house, even though there was a lot of people that said that it was never gonna happen. Growing up, I would always save my money for Christmases or birthdays, for anything that I wanted. So early on I learned how to manage my finances, but that kind of changed as I grew older. There were things that I wanted to buy. I don't know if it was more of like impressing myself or trying to impress friends, but I did get into like quite a bit of debt. And same thing with school, trying to attain the dream of getting a degree. And so I went to school and I accumulated a lot of debt, something that Lauren didn't have any. She didn't have any debt going to school. So I was pretty ashamed of that going into our relationship. She owed nothing, and I owed, tens of thousands of dollars worth of debt.
And we sat down, we did the math, like, okay, if we pay the minimum on the student loans, it'll take us at least 5 years before we can even start saving for a house. So Andre was saying, like, that's okay, we'll get there when we get there. Everyone has debt, we'll be fine. But I knew I wanted to, like, speed up the process and get there as soon as possible. So I did my own math, and I thought if we live on half of our income, we can pay this off significantly faster and get to our end goal of like buying property here in Orange County. Mm-hmm. Which again, we always thought was impossible because of, especially for me in my past and my parents never owning a home when I was younger. I don't know, for me it's like a really big goal just to be a homeowner, and especially here. So we decided to start living on one income. And of course, that was really scary for us. At first, we thought we wouldn't be able to do it. We thought maybe we'd be able to do it for like a month, just to try it out. So I got serious. I brought up my Google Docs spreadsheet and I made up a budget for every single dollar that came in, and subtracting half of it to put directly towards the debt. And I learned that we could easily live off of far less than we were.
Yeah, it wasn't too hard once we started putting our minds to it. It was once the goal was set to pay off our debt, it made it a lot easier to say no to things. No, we don't need new phones. We've had our phones for like the last 4 years. We pay for the minimum. We don't have cable. We don't have home phones or anything like that. We just have our cell phone.
And I also think that for us, we were always thinking like, okay, we could use this money to go out to eat tonight when we have plenty of groceries at home, or this same amount can go towards our debt.
Yeah.
And then paying off the debt was like a game to me. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like we'll reach the next level faster if we don't go out to eat. Yeah.
Like our parents always say, tenemos comida en la casa. We have food at home. What do you need to go out for? So, yeah, that was like a big thing. That was one of our biggest expenditures, was going out to eat. We were also really good at finding like used furniture when we were furnishing our home. on like Craigslist or Letgo or any of those. But yeah, like I don't think we've bought anything new since.
And being okay with that.
And being
like,
okay
not
with that.
Thinking like we're too good for used furniture. Like you can find used furniture that's barely used. And again, it's just to like make do during a temporary situation.
Exactly.
Eventually, we can get like, you know.
Yeah, like
whatever we want.
Yeah, like we used her bed frame and her mattress, and the only thing new that we bought for the house, and we got a lot of hand-me-downs from my sister. Who,
just making like good use of them.
Exactly. We bought the only thing new that we bought was a couch from Costco, and it wasn't that expensive. So, yeah, I mean, it's just being comfortable with saying no to things, saying no to the lifestyle that Orange County tends to tell you, hey, you need a new car, you need a new this, and we've learned to say no. That was like one of the biggest things with us too, is like our transparency. Like we merged our accounts together as soon as we got married, and that was like a big form of trust in each other. Like, hey, I'm here, I'm gonna make this work with you.
And it's a very vulnerable thing to do, because you feel a lot of shame. Like if it's like being naked when someone reveals what's in your bank account.
Yeah, when we sat down and we talked about, okay, here's how much we owe, or here's how much I owe, and I really didn't want to like. I hadn't looked at it since I applied for the loans because it was just something I didn't want to deal with. It's such a large number.
And like you kept saying, we'll get there eventually.
Yeah, we'll get there eventually. Eventually it'll
Everyone
go down to
has
zero.
debt, yeah.
It's a lie that we tell ourselves. No, it just needs to be worked on.
For your own freedom, so that you don't
Right.
feel like a slave to
Oh, I know.
your bills.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not what life is about.
Mm-hmm.
Just here in Orange County, it's all about like material stuff. And
And for us right now, it's kind of like traveling and doing your own thing. Like we recently celebrated getting out of debt by having a 2-week trip into Europe, and we pay that in cash basically. So we didn't. As soon as we came home, we paid off the credit card and with all the expenses that we had over there, and that was a big deal for us, not having to like.
it felt great, like going on vacation
Exactly.
and not having to worry about the bill at the end.
Right.
I think during this journey, I learned that once money isn't a crutch, you learn a lot more about yourself, and you learn to see like all of the good, bad, and ugly parts of yourself. And I learned that I had to like start to love myself and take care of myself. And before I used to cover that up with like treating myself to new clothes or like new experiences when I didn't have the money for that. But now I know that I don't really need that. I need other things, like good relationships, good people in my life.
Yeah, when you're not part of the rat race, it opens up a lot of avenues for self-reflection. I think one of the biggest things that comes out of not necessarily buying the newest things is gratitude for what you already have, being grateful for the clothes on your back, a place to live, not necessarily looking for the next best thing. That actually makes a huge difference. Because that was like one of the biggest issues when I first got married with Lauren, is I wanted the next job after the one I was already in. I was applying everywhere. I was just trying to if we make this much, it'll be okay. If we make this much, it'll be okay. When that's not the case. We paid off our debt, and we don't necessarily make all this money. It's just priorities and being grateful for what you have. So that was the biggest thing I learned from this.